Oh my God, y'all, listen. It's getting around that time again. Another day at work, or another night at work, I should say. And I said I was gonna address it on here. But I changed my mind. So for those of y'all who are listening now, y'all can go on my YouTube page. I'm on YouTube. You can go to that Bless One Up and look at my short. I had something in mind when I came up here, but I'm getting tired now. But I still got like 5.5 more hours before I get off, and then I still have to go somewhere after this. But a lot of the kids are back in school. My son doesn't have to go back until the 8th. But I just want to wish the parents, the teachers, the children a blessed school year. Looks like they had changed the grading scale, and that was actually something that is definitely newsworthy, because I believe now, I think 84 or higher is considered an A, and then like 83 to 60 is a B, and then C. So it's almost kind of like it's impossible to fail now. And the thing about it too is, like, just as my son was getting better at math, they wanted to change the score. But this is the thing. This is what I'm gonna do though, because the thing about it is, now that the grading scores have decreased by like 15 points, 20 points, now the standard has to be a little bit more higher. So I'll just say, if my son, or if I was just sitting, like, I'm just going to speak for as far as my son, if my son isn't on B level, B or A level, or matter of fact, if he's not on B or A level, then, gotta change some things. Because, like I said, the B, like, I think C is like from like F. So F is like 0 to like 20, and then D is like 20 to 40, and then C is like 40 to 64, and 64 to 84 is like B. So it's like you're gonna have to probably be an A student, son. I'm sorry, you'll have to be an A student, because it's like B is cool, but it's like I don't know how to feel about that, because at this point it's almost as if, like, now you just get graded for showing up. Now the test that you have to really do terribly in order to fail. And I understand the progression, what society and what the world, how, like, some things maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it's like we have to know these things. Like, there are things that we have to know. Like, I understand, like, only thing that's really universal is math. Like, English isn't necessarily universal, because even in America, there could be people that are bilingual, and they allow them to speak bilingual. And science has been proven time and time again that there has been some misinformation. And then, when you have social studies, that's, all just history things that's been proven also to be incorrect. So, like I said, math is one of the things that's universal. And then, like, gym and these electives, whether you're doing culinary arts or freaking wood shop or art class, whatever type of thing, like this electives, like, these are all trades and options that we can take. So I don't know truly how to feel about them lowering the grading scale, because one thing that I take pride in about my son that I love about my son is he's always been such an independent young man, young boy. You know, he'll be 10 in a month, and he can read very well. I think he's been known how to read since he was like 4 or 5 years old. He's always kind of been advanced. You know, my son has autism, and but it's like he's always been advanced in certain things. But it's like I said, math was like one of the things that he struggled with. But of course, his oldest sister was struggling in math at 1.2. So it's so I understand. I wasn't really like a genius in math, but I think math was probably maybe my favorite subject. I think I took algebra twice. I think at one point I was taking algebra and geometry because I think I failed one half of algebra in high school and then I had to redo it again. But the grading scale, it's kind of like, man, it's gonna get real. And then for those of you who listened to one of my previous episodes recently, and I was even talking about dating and the dating pool and how the men and women, the gender wars has become more and more vulgar, and how we date. And I want to talk about that particularly. There's always going to be some think pieces and some insight on dating. I mean, that's kind of what the world is in now. Like I said, if it ain't really business related or political, it's really dating. Nobody's really focused on God-centered relationships anymore. Well, maybe they are, but maybe it's just only for people who are, actually God-centered. Like for myself, I would love to have a God-fearing woman, a woman of faith, because I realized that a lot of the worldly women, they, just like men. I mean, men, we're the people who are supposed to be providing and protecting, but it's almost kind of like, is that all you want me to do? Like, you want me to provide and protect you, but it's like you don't want to contribute anything. What was that? But it's like you don't want me to contribute anything, in a sense of where it's like, okay, you want me to fix your car, you want me to take you to work, you want me to pay for your hair, you want me to pay for your nails, you want me to do all these things, and forget about the fact that we're not living together, we're not married, forget about the fact that I have a child, forget about the fact that I have other priorities as well. So like dating, and it's always been a bill, but like dating has become more of a accessory to a lot of people, not just women, but men as well. I think the thing with men is, we have to live in the reality. We can't have dreams or, high hopes to, just have a woman that actually likes us and want to be with us without being able to do something for them. Because I always said, when it comes to a relationship, it is a two-way street. Love is a one-way street, but it's like when you can reciprocate love that's been given to you, that itself is a blessing. And if you're sitting here dating or you're involved with somebody in any type of way and you're not, doing anything for them, then it's like you're useless. And I mean, it's true, but it's like, why do we have to go out to eat every week or every other day? Like, why can't we, have dinner at my place, have dinner at your place? Why can't we probably go outside and, have just have some time? I want to actually share this. I actually had went out with someone that I was talking to. We had went to this park. We had brought we had some snacks, and then we was sitting over there like under the tree. I drove, we went there. I mean, it was a good time. I was like, man, I never actually done that in a long time, or done that before. I mean, there's been times where I went to the park and me and the lady had walked. Matter of fact, the crazy thing too is, I want to say my last relationship was in 2024, and it was only maybe like 2-3 months. Like, I think I talked about this before. Me and her, we met online. We got together. We went out on a date. Then I think the second time we got together, we went to the park, and then that's when, we decided to get in a relationship. Then went out again. We went out maybe like went out on 2 more dates. Spent some time together. But then, after Christmas and then New Year's is passed, it was over. So it's like we didn't make it to Valentine's Day. Sad to say. So probably from after Thanksgiving to before Valentine's Day was the duration of the relationship. But anyways, like I said, that was just like almost 2 years ago at this point. That was my last serious relationship. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm a hopeless romantic. Sometimes I do miss her. I miss a lot of the relationships I've been in. Like I said, that I don't think anything like ended like on really bad terms to where it's like, all right, F you forever, nothing. But it's just something that I think about. But it's like, man, because I'm a man and I date women, women, you have to really be on that type of time to really date, to really get involved with people. Because like I said, if you're like, cause again, I'm a sucker for love. Honestly, I'm a sucker for love. I believe in, love at first sight. I believe in true love's kiss. I believe that love conquers all. I believe that. But just from my experience, and I'm not going to sit here and say that my experience dictates my decision, but honestly, in today's society right now, even in the current state of the world, even in my life, there not a lot of women, to a lot of the women that I've been involved with, I would probably say they don't think that love is enough. And I do. But, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, it should be. I think love should be enough. If you like somebody heavy and you really want to be with them, y'all can work it out. But it does take 2 people to be able to do that. Y'all, at this point, y'all know my story. Like, when I first started this particular podcast, I mean, I was divorced, but like even before the podcast, like I've done different podcasts. So even before podcast was podcast, I was podcasting. I remember when I had my ex-wife on one of my episodes, and we was talking about this. And then actually another relationship I was in, she was on this particular podcast. So it's like I don't have no problem having my woman be a part of what I'm doing. Like I said, one day, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know if it's in the near future or not, but I do believe that I'm going to be a mogul, and I do believe that my podcast is going to branch off outside of just, the typical streaming platforms. Like, again, I'm still on my audio space. I've been doing this particular podcast now for probably like 6 years. 6 years, I think, probably. So sometimes it takes a lot more time. This is episode for this particular podcast 203. Like I said, I haven't really been as consistent. A lot of times when I drop episodes, it can be months at a time. It can be weeks at a time. But it's like I know when I'll drop them, it usually be like maybe 2 or 3 like back to back or one day after the other. But it's like, so I'm gonna try to be a little bit more consistent. Like I said, I'm on my phone right now and I'm, just trying to, I'm really just burning time. So, and that's the thing, too about podcasts for me is when you think about podcasts now, there's always going to be, there's going to be video, there's going to be audio, there's going to be a production, there's going to be a team. Like I do everything myself. Like my last episode, Mr. DIY. I do a lot of things myself. I do the editing, I do the music, I do the volume, all that. But like I said, I'm at work. I'm on my phone. I'm going to upload it from my phone, through my phone, and that's going to be that. So, getting back to the dating conversation. I'm gonna be honest, dating is probably more harder than actually being in a committed relationship. Because dating, you don't necessarily have to. I think people kind of put more pressure on themselves than they have to. It's just like parenting. Like I've said this before too, where it's like your children, they go to school, they come home, they go out and play. If they need clothes, get them clothes. If they need shoes, get them shoes. Get them whatever they need. They don't have to have a bunch of Christmas gifts every year. They don't have to go trick-or-treating every year. You ain't got to get them outfit. You don't got to buy them new clothes, new shoes every year. But it's like they grow. They fit out of things. Some things get jaded, I understand. Just say, if you're broke, just say you're broke. That's what a lot of y'all are thinking. But it's not even about that. It's just about, value. My son, like I said, I love my son to death. I love him to death. And I know there was a time where he was like, he has 2 brothers, 2 sisters. But he's my only child. He has his god sister has 4 other younger siblings, but it's like, I don't know when I'm going to get him a little sister, because all the girls in his life, I want to say this, maybe like one. So my brother, my friend, he has 4 daughters, and he has a daughter that's like under him, and then the other 3 is a little older than him. But the thing is, like, he talked about this before. He's 9. And I think at this time, I don't know how he was, I forgot. But, dating has become maybe a little bit more difficult than actually being in a committed relationship, because it's like, hey, once you get the woman or once you get your man or whatever, you don't really have to do as much. I don't really agree, but it's almost like when you're dating people, especially if you're, trying to get to know somebody, you're going out, you're going to this restaurant, you're going to this area, you're buying this, you're buying that, you're driving. So it's like you're using up a lot more gas. You're spending a lot more money eating out. And this is just particularly just one person. If you're dating one person and y'all are going out every week, and, you like, as a man, I'm not going to let my woman drive. As a man, I'm not going to let my woman pay. But again, we're talking about dating. Like, dating is like, to me, I'm not even going to say it's the interview stage. It's more like an orientation stage. Because to me, I feel like, dating, you want to date people that you like already. You know what I mean? You can go out with your friends and everything, people that's platonic, and I mean, I wouldn't really necessarily consider it a date. I mean, maybe it could be a date, but to me, like, if I'm romantically dating someone, you know, I like them already. So it's like, okay, there's we did the interview already, and then there's the orientation. You know, like, maybe it sounds kind of wild when you say, yeah, the tryouts, but it's orientation, because it's like, okay, how many days we got to go on before I decide I want to make you my woman, or you decide you want to make me your man. Because I don't really even think about the sex part, to be honest, and that's just me personally. My mind has been so far removed from worrying about sex so long. Like I said, I have a son. I've been married before. I know sex. I had sex. I enjoy sex. But that's far beyond what I'm thinking about when it comes to relationships. We'll get to that point when we get very serious. And for me, because I'm a hopeless romantic, because like I said, I'm certified, because, I've lead with love. I fall in love quick. I get attached quick. It doesn't take me long to know if I want to be with this person. But it's like, I don't want to just settle though. I can't just settle with somebody that I like. Because like I said, for me, I have a expectation for myself. I have a standard for myself. I have a goal for myself. So even when I'm dating, I'm very mindful on, the plans. Because like I said, I was intending on going somewhere with someone, and I haven't heard anything back from her. So that was another thing, like, for me, I haven't really had much luck with, dating. Like I said, there's been women that I've went out with. Like I was just telling you about the woman I was out with some time ago when we went to the park and we had like a little picnic setting, but it's like that's probably not going to go any further. Some things were said, some attitudes was gotten, and that's it. And this is one thing, like I said, I know my value, I know my worth. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and chase anybody. I'm not going to sit here and beg anybody. If I call you, text you, if I reach out to you, and if you don't respond, I'm just going to let it be. That's kind of how it's got to be. It's sad to say, it took me a long time to get out of that, but it's like, if you don't want to be bothered, if you need time to cool down, then okay, then you just not my cup of tea. Like, because like I said, my woman has to be able to communicate with me. Like, if you're mad and angry and you probably need a moment, that's fine. But don't take a day. Don't take like a whole week or a few days before I hear back from you. You like, we can still be friends on the internet or whatnot. You can see all the stories. You can see all these subliminals I talk about you. But the thing about it is, I will never associate myself with you ever again. And that takes a lot for me to say, because like I said, I want a committed relationship. I want a partnership. I want to be married again. I want something solid. I want something of substance. I don't want anything casual. I don't want anything, just because I'm bored. Like, I want something serious. And because I'm a serious person, it's like, okay, if I'm not in a position to where I feel like I can take care of you, then I will probably fall back. I probably won't deal with you. And because, like I said, my circumstance is my circumstance. But like I said, I want someone who can be just as compassionate, understanding, and caring as me. if you don't care to know about me, if you don't care to know about my life, then I have to kindly, respectfully decline. But blessed ones, it's like I'm not gonna be on here talking all night, all day about dating. I know that's what this podcast talks about a lot of times. I talk about a lot about my experiences, and I talk a lot about different things. But this I just wanted to get up here and talk to y'all about something for a second. Like I said, we was talking about the grading scale and the children. Wish everybody best luck this year. Talking about dating. Wish everybody the best. We are almost done with 2026. 2027 is coming up. And I don't know, but, like I said, my birthday was a couple months ago. Last month, actually. But I gave myself a deadline. I gave myself an deadline. I was like, by the time I'm 40, if I'm not married by 40, I'm giving up. If I don't have my own spot again by 40, I'm just gonna give up. Like 40 was my deadline. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that see, there's a fox right here, and I know that fox is. Yeah. So, but anyway, I had a deadline. Sorry. I made a deadline for myself. Y'all already know about my stepfather who passed on the 1st of June. And I'm have my mother, and like I said, it couldn't happen at a more inconvenient time, because like I said, I was on my way out. But now I'm here helping her, so I'm trying to do my best to help her with things, as I'm trying to find something closer to where I work at. I thought about moving to Georgia. Definitely there's a lot of potential in Georgia as far as like living, working, and even dating. But again, dating is far from my radar when it comes to like relocating. I would definitely move for love, but I think it's just not really in my cards right now. Like, if I'm gonna be dating somebody, I know people in Georgia, but I don't think I don't. I'm not even gonna say I don't think, but I wouldn't be moving to date, is all I'm saying right now. But Lord's will. That's one thing that I also have to say, because again, really haven't really been discussing God and the goodness of God with y'all lately, because again, I've been on my spiritual walk. Haven't really been going to church as I was before. Like I said, I think I was going for a whole 6 weeks. Then I stopped going. I think this is probably the 4th Sunday at this point that I've missed. I know they didn't have. I know the church that I go to didn't have church this Sunday. Last Sunday was baptism. Shout out to everybody who got baptized. Shout out to Gospel City 2019 Church. Shout out to I don't know what happened. I'm sorry I got cut off, but yeah. Shout out to all the churches, because there has been some things going on in the country that I didn't necessarily know about. They have I don't have a lot of information on it, but sources has told me that black folks has been getting lynched again. I'm not 100% sure exactly where the location is, where it's been happening at, but I just tell you that my sources have told me that there has been some lynching going on. And also the news in Gary, Indiana, the hometown of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 and Freddie Gibbs, they have not had power and probably close to 2 weeks now. Cause when I've heard about it, I think they was on like the 8th day, so it's probably been close to 2 weeks. So I heard there has been some people, um, some athletes, and I think even Keith Lee has decided to go down there and make some arrangements for people in Gary who's been out without power. And it's been, like I said, it's been thousands of families, thousands of people without power in Gary, Indiana. And that's the thing, man. It's like when I think about Gary, Indiana, like all I think, like when I think Gary now, I just really think about like Michael Jackson, honestly. I'm not really big on Freddie Gibbs, but I just think of Michael Jackson. I remember even like when they was talking about their upbringing, their father worked in the steel mill, and he had a dream. He'd had to get them out of Gary because Gary is rough. Gary is a rough place to live. It's like you have places like Chicago, places like Detroit. There's a lot of places in the Midwest that deals with a lot of poverty. I mean, everywhere in the country there's poverty. Everywhere in the world there's poverty, but it's like, it's hard out here, yo. Like, and this is what I be even thinking about. Like everybody has children, everybody has families, everybody has responsibilities that they got to take care of. We don't need to be sitting out here stressing about not having water, not having electricity, not having food, and a lot of things that we come across is people complaining about relationships. Men and women need each other. I say it all the time. I'm always gonna double down on that. Men and women need each other. Fathers, be there for your children. Mothers, be there for your children. Parents, be there for your children. There's people who have mad kids and they're not there for not one. You gotta do better. I was talking about this on my Facebook earlier, just as far as like how good Cobra Kai was, how good Once Upon a Time was, and Power and all these things. Like a lot of the shows that I'm into, it has some type of backstory, has some type of sob story that's connected to the main characters or character, and it's just like, man, it's rough out here for everybody. You'll be lucky to get a break and actually be able to have something to provide for your family. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. Our children needs help. Our elders need help. Our veterans need help. The homeless need help. The everyday working class people need help. Everybody needs help. Like I said, I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and, shame anybody for getting money, how to get it. It might not be my cup of tea on certain things, but it's like, it's become so hard. I mean, some people even sold their integrity. I'm not going to knock it. It's not my thing. I understand. I don't really necessarily agree with it, but we are, it's rough. And I'm trying to understand, you know, How do things like this be happening? Not having water, not having power. Because, and this is the thing, like, these things should be free. Honestly, if you ask me. Water, gas, electric, like these, all these natural resources that we have in this country, they should be free. You know, they like America is a capitalist, but we shouldn't have to pay for things that God has given us. You know, there shouldn't be homeless veterans out here. The fact that our country is in trillions of dollars of debt and they're still building homes that's not for the homeless, homes for people who might just need. It's like everybody needs help. The people who are taking our money, the people who's collecting our money, the people who we're giving our money to needs help. Everybody needs help. That's why this is a capitalist society. I don't know when or how it got to this point, but we are a struggling country when we should be striving. And I'm gonna put it like this, because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the debt that we are in has nothing to do with anything that we had did. This is all politics. So like when we pay, like, again, I don't think we should be paying taxes either, whatever. Um, when we be paying taxes, you get a look on our checks, like, cause a lot of people don't even get stubs no more. They gotta go online to, even see their stubs. We're about to be, it's about to be the Great Depression all over again, if you ask me. But even just thinking about it, talking about it, this is why I don't really talk a lot about some of these things, because it gets depressing, it gets sad. I don't really like talking about these type of stories. I mean, you can raise awareness as much as you can. I think there's enough people raising awareness out here for that type of stuff. I said again, I'm not a reporter. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't have nothing. I don't do this type of reporting or news, but it was just something that I thought about and I wanted to address, because again, I'm on a podcast and I know y'all like to hear about certain things, but just for me talking to my people, my audience, the people who kind of listen to what I have to say, for the one person, the 100 people, the 1,000 people that come and listen, I appreciate y'all as always. And before I go, I do want to leave y'all with a prayer, and then as always, stay safe, stay productive and positive. Have any questions, suggestions, requests, let me know. But dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day, for waking everybody up, for allowing us to be here. I thank you for all my listeners. Thank you for all my supporters. I thank you for everybody who takes the time to love each other. I ask you to bless the people who hate on other people. I ask you to heal the people who needs healing. Heal the world, Lord. Please heal the world. Lord, I ask you with true faith, genuinely, honestly, to direct the lost, direct them into the right path. Where there's will, there is a way. In the name of Jesus, Lord, I ask you, Lord, to just deliver everybody who needs healing. You know who they are. I don't know everybody by name, but you heal them. Lord, thank you for my family. Thank you for my village. Thank you for my life, health, and strength. That's most important. Lord, you know my heart. You know my intentions. And shall it shine through all the cruelty in the world. In Jesus' name, in your almighty holy name. Amen.